We'll go back west. We'll talk about the Southwest Division minutes breakdowns. 240 game. It's coming up. Spurs, Rockets, Mavericks, Pelicans, Grizzlies with some big injury news in Memphis. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I just want Russ to be Russ. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets. To use across the app, head to FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. And we are available on all platforms. Double bangs? Yeah, let's take them. Fourth of the divisions, that means there's two more to go. The Central Division, where we got a Chicago Bulls injury update. And Southeast Division, where Precious Achiuwa got cut for the Heat. I guess that's it. I don't know. We'll talk about that. There's some roster decisions being made at the moment as well across the NBA. If anything interesting happens with those, we'll discuss them when necessary. But let's talk Southwest, because we did get big injury news in Memphis. That's going to be a part of our discussion here. We'll get to that in a sec, but we're going to start with the Dallas Mavericks trying to play the 240 game. How do the 240 minutes get distributed on these teams early in the season? I'll show you what I think about who's in and who's out and how that impacts things. And this is one I don't really know, but we did see it the last couple of preseason games where Cooper Flagg moved to point guard. Jason Kidd has no problem with doing this. Now, D'Angelo Russell was not playing. D'Lo has also not been good. And I think it's pretty clear that the five guys that I've got on the screen, Cooper Flagg, Klay Thompson, Paul Washington Jr., Anthony Davis, and Derek Lively are their best five players. So to get your best five players on the court to start games and even to close games, maybe this is what they do. I've got Flagg playing 34 minutes. I've got Klay playing 26, who is not a 12-team draftable player. I do have PJ Washington playing 30, and if he's a starter with upside to do more when Anthony Davis sits, or Lively's hurt, or whatever, we draft him a bit earlier than we were. Maybe 120, maybe 110, maybe to 100, I don't know about that. But he also could play off the bench and play 27 minutes. But at the moment, I'm leaning towards PJ starting, but again, that's debatable. I've got Anthony Davis at 34 minutes, and I've got Derek Lively at 26. I hope that Lively pushes up to 28 and not down to 24, but I've got him at 26 at the moment. Lively, of course, has just had so many setbacks with injuries. He'll get the starting job and be limited, then get hurt, and then push back and get it, then rise, then fall back. The advantage he has this time is that he starts the season with Daniel Gafford hurt. So hopefully Derek Lively is able to establish himself with more than 23 minutes a night, which is what he played last season when he was 149th for categories and 122nd. Throw in some natural growth, 3 to 4 extra minutes, and he should be around that 100 mark, and that's a pretty bare area in a lot of drafts. I hope that Lively takes his game to a new level, but there is the concern of Washington being there and Davis and Gafford and Flagg's best position being the 4, honestly, as to how it all fits in. But I do like grabbing Lively. And he does have that advantage at the moment that Gafford is currently, maybe not available. Maybe. If we talk about their bench grouping, I've got D'Angelo Russell in that group at 24 minutes. I have seen people go incredibly early on D'Angelo Russell. I have never believed in it. I only had him as like a 27 or 28 minute a night player anyway, who will lose all his value when Kyrie returns. So, like, if you get him in the last round or two, whatever. But he was terrible last season. And what if we're in a scenario where he doesn't even start to begin the year? I guess the advantage you have here is that Dante Exum, shockingly enough, is out to begin the season. We'll see what they do with Brandon Williams, whether he's in the rotation. At the moment, with this alignment with Russell with Russell coming off the bench, I don't have Williams in the rotation, but he could easily be. I've got Najee Marshall playing 20 now. A lot of teams would love Najee Marshall as a 28-minute-a-night rotation player. He's another player that Jason Kidd last season said, right, you're the point guard now. And he did pretty well. But where do the minutes come from? He's a stream guy, a watch list guy, a deeper league guy. Max Christie started lots of games last season. Now, he was bad in Dallas. but I've got him at 14 minutes. I can't find how to play him more. I've got Daniel Gafford at 20, but I also don't know that Gaff is going to be available opening night. Now, if he is not, hopefully that would mean they would play more Anthony Davis at center. PJ plays the 4. Najee gets to do more. You get a little bit more Max Christie in there. I've got Caleb Martin at 12 minutes. Again, Caleb Martin was playing like 26 minutes a night as a starter for the Sixers and 29 minutes a night for the Heat 2 years ago. And it seems stupid for me to have D'Angelo Russell at 24 minutes and Najee Marshall at 20 and Caleb Martin at 12 and Christie at 14. But how else do I fit it? And this is with Dante Exum not available. This is, Dante Exum's not there. This is with Gafford under some sort of injury cloud. This is with Kyrie not available for months. I haven't included Jaden Hardy in the rotation. I think Ryan Nembhard's a good player. He's not in the rotation. I don't like the way they construct their team. I think it's going to have some real struggles with some shooting stuff, but it's deep. There are a lot of good players on this Mavericks team, and they are deep. I am going to do the Houston Rockets next, and I'm going to present to you what I think will be their opening night rotation. Bearing in mind, and I'll say this right now, they play the Oklahoma City Thunder, who will probably start Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren. So I'm going to show you what I think will be the Rockets' big alignment. So don't freak out about it. So let's look at this Rockets rotation, their big alignment. It'll have Amen Thompson starting at point guard. I'm pretty confident that that's what they're going to do, that Amen will be the starting point guard in these sort of scenarios. Now, Amen Thompson, again, it's one of these things, right, where there are a lot of people who talk about fantasy. I'm not even talking about people who do it as a job or a hobby or have shows, just people who comment on things or leave posts that they'll say things that go, yeah, but, look at his numbers last year. But we always have to look at context, because Amen Thompson played 32 minutes a night last season. Cool? He played like 36 minutes a night as a starter. And 28 to 26, he started the season playing 24 minutes a night. So while 32 is great, and you use the same logic for Josh Giddey, use the same logic for Denny Avdia, when you look at their season-long numbers, it doesn't reflect everything. So Amen played 32 minutes. Cool. What does it mean? It's fine. Like, he averaged 14, 8, somehow 8 rebounds. 4 assists, 1.4 steals, 1.3 blocks. But why can't he play 3 to 4 extra minutes this season, Amen Thompson? He probably will. He did it last season. And Fred VanVleet is out all year. So when people get excited, now, I also seen people go too far and say, I'll take Amen Thompson round 1. I would not do that. Middle of round 2, I'm okay with it. He pushes up a little bit in some points league formats. True. Where you can maybe look to the turn. So he's one of these ones that I think there's the risk of him being overdrafted. But there's also the risk of people discounting what a new role or a more stable floor on his minutes looks like. So I've got Amen at 35. I've got KD at 35 minutes. Now, Kevin Durant will probably miss some games at some point this season, but last season he played 37 minutes a night, and as much as Ime Udoka loves to push the playing time on guys, I don't think Durant will play 35, although both him and Amen could easily hit 36 here. I've got Jabari Smith Jr. starting at the 3. And this is what I mean by the big alignment. I've got him at 31 minutes. He is going to start irrespective. That 31, I'm not really convinced on. It could be 29 or 28 very easily. He's looked good in preseason. It's led to people going a little early sometimes on Jabari in drafts, which I'm not fully on board with. I'd like to see some of his block numbers come back and a bit of a usage spike, which in this lineup's not that easy to do. But he's looked good. I got Sengun starting at power forward, playing 32 minutes for the delicate dancer. He's been great in preseason. He's hit free throws. He will play in this alignment with Adams at times. My worry with Sengun in terms of minutes topping out is that at times Ime Udoka will hyper-focus on defensive issues. And he has got so many power forward / center options that he can use that Sengun might play 34, and then 26. Because for some reason he thinks there was a defensive mistake and sits him on the bench for 7 minutes in the fourth quarter. That's always my concern, because he can turn to Adams, he can turn to Smith, he can turn to Eason, he can turn to Finney-Smith when he returns, he can turn to Durant, and he can turn to Clint Capella. It's a lot of guys. It's a lot of guys that he can use if he ever gets the urge to say, you sucked on defense, which again is... I'm not saying Sengun sucked on defense before some Rockets fan or some crazy person comes in to tell me, you don't watch him, he's all improved. I know this. But can you guarantee that his coach won't play the blame game on Sengun for defensive issues and sit him down because he likes what the other guys do more? I can't feel confident that Udoka will never do that. I've got Steven Adams starting and playing 21 in this matchup against the Thunder. But I think other games, Adams will either not play on back-to-backs or he'll play like 16 or 18. And I'm doing all of these Rockets rotations here without any Dorian Finney-Smith, who's going to, he might push to 28 minutes. You'll notice that I don't have Reed Sheppard in the starting group, and Sheppard has been ridiculously good. His steal and block numbers, we just have to look at them as real. He did it in college. He did it in the G League. He did it in Summer League. He's doing it in preseason. He just does it. His shooting volume is up. His percentages are up. He looks great. But he also might not start games. I've got Sheppard for this sort of alignment at 27. This team is ridiculously deep, and they need his shooting absolutely. I hope that Reed gets 32. I don't think we are there. He should be drafted still, absolutely. Pick 100, absolutely go for it, right? Go for it. But I think in order for him to be a top 75 guy, we need to lock him at 33 and I don't think that is happening. Because also, again, I'll say this again, Dorian Finney-Smith has to come back into this mix. I got Tari Eason at 24 minutes. Eason allegedly won't play back-to-backs. They don't have a back-to-back for like 6 weeks to begin the season, so we'll see what happens there. He will be one of the players that when someone sits, he plays 30 and then plays 24 on other nights. I got Josh Okogie at 14. I've got Aaron Holiday at 11, and I've got Clint Capella at 10. Now, there'll be some nights where I think Capella does not play when Adams plays off the bench. But Capella's still good. And again, that is very low, 10 minutes for him. I'm not even including the wild thing, Jayshawn Tate, in this mix. I don't even have him here. They are deep, man. Like, there's no Tate. There's no Finney-Smith in this grouping. Sheppard could easily play more. Eason could easily play more. I guess Jabari could play fewer minutes. But it is a deep, deep team. And Udoka traditionally has been a shallow rotation guy, so also be aware of that. But it is a tough one to always figure out. Today's episode, it is brought to you by Wayfair. The holidays, they're going to be here before you know it. And that's exciting. It's November, it's December, you're going to have gatherings and people popping over, out-of-town guests, parties, but do you have everything you need? Do you need to restyle your home with decor? Is your budget big? Is it small? Well, Wayfair has everything that you need to cover all of those opportunities and possibilities. Wayfair makes it easy to personalize your home for the holidays with a huge selection of every style and every budget. And they've got free and easy delivery, even for the big stuff, so you can get everything that you need without the hassle of huge delivery fees. Get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That is WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. We're playing the 240 game in the NBA's Southwest Division. We've looked at the Rockets, looked at the Mavs. Let's go on to a team where we did get the injury update today in Memphis. No, we didn't get the update on Demetrius Morant. We got an update out of nowhere on Scottie Pippen, and it's not good. Now, I had been drafting Scottie Pippen in deeper leagues. I had been drafting Scottie Pippen at the end of 12-team leagues, especially with some uncertainty around Morant. I saw Ty Jerome Milk hurt his calf yesterday. I went, all right, we're in here on Pippen. And now Pippen's out at least 12 weeks. Cool. So, obviously, we do not draft Scottie Pippen. They are in a situation here, Memphis, where it could be incredibly dicey. I do believe that Morant will be available opening night. But he might not be. Irrespective of it, I think he's back very soon. So, I've got Morant at 32 minutes. I think he'll start next to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope at 29 and Jalen Wells at 31, who has been impressive in preseason. And if we have a scenario where Jerome, Morant, Pippen are all out, Wells is going to do more. So I like him as a 12-team flyer now. Jaren Jackson, I've got at 30. They do try to keep his minutes around that 31, 32 mark. And I think it'll be his third game back from the toe surgery, that it'll be limited early and push up a minute or two. And I think they're starting Jock Landale. In the 2 preseason games, they have not played Jaren at center. It's been Jackson and Landale with Santi Aldama coming off the bench. Now, Landale's just going to be a deeper league guy. I've only got about 20 minutes. But that is something they are doing. So you look at their bench rotation. I do have Aldama at 27. Aldama was going around pick 100 because we thought that there'd be Edey, and obviously Clark is still out, and Jackson would miss some time maybe, although I obviously faded off of that over the last 3 weeks. I sort of expected him to be available. But people are going too early on Aldama. Way too early now. He is a bench player who needs some other guys hurt, and it's going to get worse for him when Edey returns. So just be cautious of that. Currently, I have Ty Jerome at 26 minutes. He literally might not play. He might have actually hurt his calf with a serious injury. I have not seen an update on it. So hopefully it's fine. If you have an opportunity to grab Jerome, do it. But it is also worth noting that you might get to opening night and Morant plays and Jerome does not. So it's useless in that respect. You also, I'm going to move down to the bottom of this board, you also might move to a situation where Pippen is out, guaranteed. Morant is out, and Jerome is out. So second round pick Javon Small would start, probably. And honestly, Small has been very good in the preseason. We also could get to a situation where Morant and Jerome both play and Small plays 16 minutes and is a worthless pickup. I waited, I hoped I would get some sort of an update here on Jerome to find out what we'll do with Small, but I haven't got one yet. I would also expect someone like Cedric Coward to get a bump. I've got him at 16 minutes at the moment. That might push to 21 or so. But if Morant and Jerome both play, then Coward will sit at 16, Vince Williams at 13, and Javon Small at 16. But we have big question marks on the 32 minutes of Morant and the 26 minutes of Jerome for at least the beginning of the season. I just don't know how much further that is getting. It's just, and even Aldama's 27 might be 25. But the Pippen injury wipes him out. You can't draft him now. I would love to know about Jerome because he could be a great draft target. Or he's useless because he's out for 4 weeks as well. But one thing I know here is Jerome played like 21 minutes a night last season for Cleveland, and he was fine. He was a streaming guy. But if he's a 26-minute a night guy, which is possible, then we are well on the way to being a very strong 12-team league option. So it's worth a look, but let's see if we get some updates there on him. Otherwise, we can stream Javon Small in a pretty big way. But we just need to find out. What about New Orleans? I don't want to talk about New Orleans because it's frustrating, but this is what I think it's going to be. Jordan Poole at 31 minutes. Could be 33. One thing about Jordan Poole, and I'm not a Jordan Poole fan at all, right? I'm not. But I think that what I find myself drawn to with Jordan Poole is pushing back on stuff that's just wrong. So it sounds like I'm this big Jordan Poole superfan. I'm not. I honestly couldn't care less about him as a player. He's not someone that I would target as a real-life GM or anything like that. But there is this idea that he is a completely unserious joke of a player who never plays winning basketball. Yeah, forget the fact that he played 30 minutes a night in a championship team. All right, yeah. Was he the best player on that team? No, but he started a lot of it. Right? He started for that team. He was actually a great mentor in Washington, and he shot the ball really well with smart decision-making last season. Here's his idea that he's this joke player, which is just not true. The worry you're going to have here is that when DeJounte returns, let's say January, February, what do they do? Does Poole become a 28-minute-a-night bench player? Like, he only played 29 for the Wizards. He was really good, and I like drafting him this season, but I don't like looking at players where you look at their season and go, yeah, like, it's going to go like that, and then it's probably just going to drop as the season goes on. And then what's he doing? Like, does Fears show that he's good enough, and Murray is back, and Poole plays 26 minutes? I will say this, and I know this will get pushback. I don't think that it's a clear-cut case that DeJounte Murray is a better player than Jordan Poole. At all. At all. And if you want to talk about someone who's not serious at times of playing basketball, I wouldn't look at the Jordan Poole side of that comparison. I've got Herb Jones at 32, Trey Murphy at 33. I think that's hard to argue. I've got Zion at 32. If Zion ever plays 35, it's done. He's a first-round fantasy player per game. We know the risks with Zion. You know them. You lean earlier in points leagues than head-to-head category leagues, and it's up to you how much you want to take on the risk. And then there is no Kevon Looney, so I've got Yves Missi starting playing 27 minutes. But also remember that if Yves Missi playing 27 minutes gets you excited, maybe you need to look into some different kinks. But he did that basically last season, was not good, and was not worthwhile a 12-team roster. Now, we might start this season where he is literally the only healthy center apart from Karlo Makovic, who the team does not like, even though he's good and better than Yves Missi. But what happens when Looney returns? What happens when Derek Queen is available? Missi plays 21 minutes and you've got the 160th best player for a week. Like, who cares? I'm not targeting Missi. Maybe he's improved a lot. Maybe not. So the bench, I do have Derek Queen in there at the moment, but he hasn't played in preseason. I don't know that he's going to be available after that wrist surgery he had after Summer League. I'm definitely not drafting him in really any spot. The guy who's been impressive for this team is the depressed penis Saddiq Bey. Now, I expect that he doesn't play back-to-backs, but he tore his ACL in, and let me go back and figure this out, April 2024, or March 30th, 2024, something like that. So we are 18 months removed from him tearing his ACL. So it is conceivable that he does not sit back-to-backs. Again, we look at that rotation. I don't really know how Bey plays 30, and we've seen Saddiq Bey play in Atlanta and Detroit, and he needs to be 33 minutes, 25 usage, with no one else around him, very Keldon Johnson-y, in order to provide fantasy value. I would stream him if Zion or Trey Murphy are out and he starts. And he's been very impressive. He's been better than any Saddiq Bey I've ever seen before, which is, again, a compliment. But is there enough there? Then we get to the backup guards. Jeremiah Fears, 16. Jose Alvarado, 18. Fears has had a couple of good preseason games in a row. I think he will struggle in the regular season. But he could easily get to 20 minutes here. We're not drafting him, though. And then the other one is Jordan Hawkins at 11 minutes. Now, Hawkins has been a disappointment in his career. He's very much down this pecking order. And I can see, obviously, when like even Looney's back, or when you've got Murray returning, Hawkins isn't going to be a player that plays every night, most likely. I can't see why they would do that, considering he hasn't really shown anything to suggest that none of the guys above him, to me, are going to be losing out of playing time because of what Jordan Hawkins provides. We'll come back, cover off the final team, which is the San Antonio Spurs, in a sec. Today's episode, though, it is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here. The NBA season is almost here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. That's right, new customers can bet just $5. And you get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, you pick a bet, you put down the $5, you win it. You get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So go in there, look at the live in-game betting, look at the same-game parlays, the player props, the futures, the win totals, all that stuff. Place your bets, get your bonus bets, and use them. So what are you waiting for? Go to FanDuel.com, download the FanDuel app today, and get started. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay, now the final team we're looking at is another team that has injury question marks to begin the season, and that is the San Antonio Spurs. We are very much of the belief that De'Aaron Fox is not going to be available for opening night. We also know that Jeremy Sohan is not going to be available for opening night. I think that they will go with this starting group. Stephon Castle at about 32 minutes. Devin Vassell at 30 to 32, but I've got him at 30. I think that Bubbles, Julian Champagny, will play 26 minutes as a starter. I've got the pencil Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. He's going to play. He's going to steal his 25 minutes. He's going to do nothing for any fantasy league. And we're going to be talking about him as the biggest nothing starter in the NBA for years to come. Maybe not. Maybe this will be the last one. And then, of course, we've got Wemby at 34 minutes, which is, I think, relatively easy to see. Like, this is... Let's have a quick discussion on Wemby. Take him at 1, I don't care. Take him at 2, whatever. You want to get him at 3? That's fine. He's going to be ridiculously good. I'm not worried about injuries with him. He has got plenty more levels to go from what he did last season. He hit 3 threes a game, by the way, with 3.8 blocks, and a steal, and 4 assists, and 11 rebounds. He can get better than this. Jokic is still the best player, but if you've got a decision based on the playoff schedule, and you wanted to take Wemby, it's okay. You can make that call. It's not a problem. I would never consider Giannis ahead of Wemby in categories, in points. I get it. Giannis is going to have a monster point season. But Wemby 1 or 2, whatever, 3, go for it. He's great. He's playing 34 minutes a night, really without any question. I guess you could see, instead of Julian Champagny in that starting lineup, you could see Dylan Harper. I want them to do that. But having a Harper and Castle combination, it doesn't really give you the best shooting grouping. Harper's looked awesome in the preseason for the most part, but to me, there is still such a weird minutes distribution scenario that I find it hard to think that he's going to be useful for 12-team leagues for long periods of time this season. So I've got Dylan Harper at 26 minutes. I've got the horse, Keldon Johnson, at 22. He'll just do his thing. He's been pretty good in the preseason in this role. He's like a points streaming guy. I've got Luke Cornett at 20. Now, you'll notice that if I've got Wemby at 34, that means there's 14 reserve center minutes, which means that there are 6 extra minutes there for Cornett. He's been playing next to Wemby a lot, and he's been really good. If you've got stash ability, deeper leagues, Games Cup leagues, weekly leagues, I love Cornett because A, top 70 player if Wemby is out, B, still doing enough in the crossover minutes to be at least marginally useful. So I like that. Kelly Olynyk is on this team. I've got him playing 12 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if he just doesn't play. It's very clear. It's very clear that we have old mate Luke Cornett ahead of Olynyk. That is very clear. And if when Jeremy Sohan returns, Olynyk could easily be the guy that's out of the rotation. Easily. And then the other one I've got there is Carter Bryant at 13 minutes with Sohan out. So when Sohan returns or when Fox returns, Olynyk and Bryant are probably both gone. They probably won't play. And you'll see Fox and Sohan in and Olynyk and Bryant out. That would be my guess on the rotation when those guys return, whenever that is. Sohan allegedly was dealing with I think a calf injury, and then he hurt his wrist. So that's not great. We are not drafting Jeremy Sohan, just in case you are wondering about that. We got some more other injury update news today on old mate Zach Collins, who I drafted in 30 deep, and now he is out with a broken hand, so that's great. So Jalen Smith is your primary backup in deeper leagues to Vooch. Vooch has been terrible in the preseason. I do think that Collins will have the role over Smith, but remember, Smith lost the role as the backup center last season because he got hurt. So Collins now, if Collins gets hurt, does Smith take that? Whoever is the backup to Vooch is useful. So just keep an eye on that for deeper leagues. And we'll talk about the Bulls later in one of the shows. I'm not sure if it's coming today, though. That's the 240 game for the NBA's Southwest Division. We're still getting information on cuts and all that sort of stuff coming through for players. I don't think any of them are really going to matter a huge amount. The Spurs just made their cuts of Micah Potter. Stanley Amude, he got cut also. Again, these are not decisions that are going to impact many fantasy leagues, but they did just happen. Thumb up the video, subscribe, hit the hype if you're on the YouTube mobile app. Leave comments, of course, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.